Want to win the championship this season, I think tank duty isn't always welcomed. However, and I know Anti won't like this, as an individual, very talented on those individual carries, but somebody has to be that front to back. It can be different if you decide to play the sides in 1-3-1, which we've found these guys really opting to pick individual laners. Like we've seen the Aurelia, we've seen the Mordekaiser, and you know what? Sometimes it goes astray a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's almost like ARAM. I think that you draft to that win condition, and you really try and push that as an incentive, and it makes it very difficult for teams to actually play against you if you're like that. If you're playing that standard front to back and you're organized, which they are, and they have great communication, it can definitely push them towards that title. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a continuation of this playoff in the semi-finals. That was a nice little intermission right there. I wonder who that was speaking, but we'll just leave that to everybody's own opinions.
I mean, they sound kind of wrong though, Lamb. What would you say about that?
It's not over just yet. Well, of course, it's going to be Lamb and Crims tonight. Thank you, our previous casters, Shargan and Zen. Much appreciated for your time tonight. And of course, again, they're up against it in this one, Crims. It looks like your prediction's standing a little bit taller than mine this time.
Yeah, I think that you haven't been able to curse me this time around, but we can't move on from that because it looks like for the third time in a row, Ariri securing his favorite champion. He is absolutely obsessed with Renata. It's been a year now, completely addicted, and this draft is blowing right by already, Lamb.
Yeah, wow, I'm getting flashbacks to Rogue earlier today with it. Lucianami, hopefully RLS can pull it out a little bit better than it was played quite earlier in the day. But of course, you already recognize that Renata going through such a strong champion offers so much. And I mean, the scaling is going to be online with the Ezreal too, so they're looking for comfort picks. So RLS already indicating that maybe they're going to go strong in the bot side and having Diana running as well. Of course, she can be flexed in the mid, in the jungle. But who do you think this is going to go on here, Crims? Because Cowrie's been having a really tough time in that mid lane.
Yeah, I don't think the Diana is the safest mid lane pick, especially if you leave it blind. But I'm looking at this Udyr across the board here, and that is a terrible matchup for Diana because Udyr can win in the 1v1 and then run you down right after. And that makes a lot of sense. Here's that Zed, and now the Xerath pick being here, lined up the last one. And these are both of our comps straight away. This is the extremely quick, decisive draft here. And I'm looking from Art of War, and they're changing it up this time because I'm looking and I'm seeing 2 poke champions. So this is definitely a stylistic change in the third game.
It is, and if they're going to round it off, then of course sometimes you don't want to give too much away. If they do win this, of course they're going to the finals, and it will be awaited on who wins that other matchup, which will be INT against AA. We get it right the first time around here, Crims. We're not second guessing how many A's are in that team name. But we're not talking about those guys tonight. It's going to be RLS and Art of War, and it's all to play for. These guys have been really going at it, and so far, Art of War has that advantage, Crim. So where does the win condition, if you are RLS, what do you change going into this third and also important game? Because there's no more mistakes now.
Yeah, they are really going for a all-in draft here because they secured themselves 2 dive champions and they have aggressive assassin pick here. They're aiming for the back line. Now, Art of War do have the Ezreal and the Renata, so that's going to be peel plus a lot of escape for a mid. So they do have tools to mesh against this Zed pick as well as the set. So they're going to have to cut it out, make sure nothing gets on their back line, and lay down that poke. So that's how Art of War are going to win. They're going to play the range advantage, use the Renata for disengage, and then turn around when the time comes. And RLS have to get themselves a good flank angle or find a good engage, get on the back line. Xerath and Ezreal, once they get caught, are going to drop like flies, and that's going to be their way to win this game.
I think as well that this top lane has been so volatile, and Anti has been on the receiving end through this game. Most certainly, Trolls and You has had the number of the opposing top laner. But now, push comes to shove. There's no more mistakes. You can't go into that matchup against the Darius and let the Darius dictate how that's going to go as a set. Now, we've seen glimpses of Anti on the set. We're getting back into the game was certainly a way that they could play this champion. And they got into certain scenarios that allowed them to try and get some kills, and they did turn a little bit of the team fights. But ultimately, when it come to those 5-on-5 skirmishes, Art of War, they're so organized. And I mean, you know a lot about this team, Crim, so give us a little bit of insight what it was like previously compared to now.
Well, I think it's a completely different look in terms of the synergy. Of course, Ariri, the only standing member from last season, and definitely standing proud in this game so far. Ariri doing great. Definitely a person to make aggressive plays on the map. Really likes to use that hostile takeover from Renata. And there's been some big plays coming out from Ariri, like in the playoff buff so far. But yeah, it seems like they're really good at securing their early advantages. They have overplayed their hand a couple times, and RLS have punished as well. But they need to up the punish on Art of War, as well as making sure that their laning phase goes a lot better, because let's be honest, Lamb, that is so far the biggest weakness RLS are facing against AWE here.
I have to agree, and I mean my channel points have to agree as well. We're pretty dumpstered after those first 2 games. Oh my god. I know there's a few in that boat as well, but look, it can turn around very quickly. Both of these teams are very confident in their ability to win games, which first and foremost you have to have. And I think when it comes to it, they've picked this poke composition now. So this gives RLS to get in close, and they can with the Diana, they can with the Zed, the set, they can get to that backline, and it'll make it very favourable for them in these smaller skirmishes that they'll find themselves in the early game.
Yeah, definitely want to be watching out for that. I do want to talk about the mid to late game phase for Art of War, because that's going to be a huge pivot point for their comp. They have to make it to that point to start utilizing their range advantages on the objectives.
All right. I mean, it's all said and done. We've been watching very closely tonight as these teams have been duking it out, but I do believe we are ready to get on the rift and find out if Art of War can go ahead and secure that final spot. Well, it'll be the first spot in that final. And we'll see if RLS can silver scrapes it. We'll see if they can turn it around. But we will find out very shortly as both of them take to the rift here tonight. And we've been, again, so excited for both of these guys. They've really turned up the heat in this league so far, Crims. This is a really nice closeout to these playoffs.
Yeah, Art of War on all cylinders, firing away so far, proving that they are mechanically adept in this matchup versus RLS. They're doing great across the board. And that's why these games will look so dominant. And now for RLS, This is a potential loss match point final game of the season, and they're resting all that on this comp, this aggressive engage comp here. And we'll have to see if they have the guts to pull it off at such a huge pressure point for them.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh, Udyr will say later
wow.
to Cowrie. Yeah, not going to get that one, but gets the ward down. So, going to try and keep track of the opposing jungler in this one, which is War Leader on the Diana. And the War Leader has had a season that's been very intriguing to watch. This man usually has very broad shoulders going into every game and can really put the team on the back. Again, a highlight that Udyr performance earlier in the day. Unfortunately, they were on the losing side to that, but we'll see what he can do to transition this into a win for his team.
Yeah, War Leader certainly capable of making game-winning plays. And now it's going to be on this Diana. Something a little more aggressive, has a lot more damage. So War Leader might be in position to carry this game here. Anti on the top lane, duking it out with Chosen Yu. And this is a winning matchup, Lamb. I know it's a Darius versus Set, very aggressive, volatile matchup, but Set does win that early, has to make sure to play the trades just right. So Anti, this is an opportunity for you to make a comeback in this series.
And to touch on that as well, like Darius having that hemorrhage passive, it really gives you a false sense of security that you can get that trade off very successfully, like we're seeing right now, because he did hit level 2 here. So Anti, not respecting that going through, gets apprehended back, gets crippling strike, flash for flash, and that's first blood. Caster curse full in effect again. Crimson already AWE on the board.
Yeah, definitely wasn't intentionally going for that. And Anti just not respecting and has the Ignite as well, Lamb. You're supposed to win that matchup when you have the more aggressive summoner. Both these top laners not opting for that TP because of the fights in the 1v1s that's been going on top side here. And again, Chosen Yu on top. And just because that wins for free, that's going to give Total Trash a lot more freedom to move around this jungle.
Oh, shocking orb lands on Cowrie. Another one. Will the Q land? Is it going to be up for Xerath? But I believe that Shadow would be available for Cowrie, so going to get out of that one. And already we see these lanes top and mid winning for AWE pretty comfortably already this early in the game. Only 3 minutes into the game. The junglers are yet to emerge and make a play in that top side as they will both find each other here. So we'll see what will go down from Total Trash. He's just going to walk around and realize that Diana will have priority over that Scuttle. But the Xerath has a push in the mid lane, so might be looking to collapse here. We will see. Blazing Stampede. Goes straight on to War Leader here. Oh, flash from Guilty looking to get that orb. I believe it was out of range, but uses the flash anyway on the Xerath, and that might be costly. Depending if War Leader can get away from this one. Is Total Trash just pushing War Leader out of the jungle already, using that mid prio to full effect.
Yeah, Guilty there with the stun, or even a slow would have been deadly for War Leader. And I was talking about how much stronger Udyr is when they fight in the 1v1. And you can also see the rundown potential. Now, it didn't afford them a kill, but that's pressure coming out of Total Trash. And they could just completely run over this jungle if that continues to happen.
And Art War really flexing the muscles in this one as Cowrie takes another negative trade in that mid lane. But even the bot side managed to push that wave in and get the back off free of charge with nothing coming of it. But the Lucian Nami did opt to go back a little bit earlier. You see the cull in the inventory of the Lucian, obviously realizing it's going to be a farming lane with that Ezreal, trying not to trade as much as can. Anti tanks a turret shot, pulls him in, gets the true damage back out, fully stacked hemorrhage. Crippling strike, waiting, he'll get it again, and Chosen Yu secures the second solo kill in that top lane.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, where's the communication to War Leader there? I guess it just would have been really bad pathing for this Diana, unfortunate, but usually you want a jungler there to help you get that push out and safely get the recall, but it's just a complete disconnect from the top end jungle at this moment.
Oh, escape. Oh, flash handshake not going to land from Ariri, but that's the confidence coming out with the support that potentially could have got something there. And if anything, it's to try and send a message to the bot lane at RLS that you cannot walk into this river or you're going to get picked off potentially. As Escape tries to trade over, but very low on mana and won't make any more of this wave because this wave right now is slow pushing it in a very bad spot. Actually, I think it's frozen in that spot right there. So RLS already under the cosh as AWE just look to control the map.
Yeah, AWE now Aruri does not get anything for the flash. So, that's a nice spin on it, Lamb. However, I think we got to look up at the top side because Anti might be finding themselves in another terrible position. War
No.
leader.
Oh, that lands. Okay, that lands as well. Everything landing from Guilty.
Where's the
Blazing
slow coming up?
Stampede coming through. No flash on the Diana. Remember, she had to use it to get out of the skirmish in the bot, in the blue side of her own jungle. And it looks like she is on a timer here. War leader managing to run away. But the wrap up from Renata coming up as well. Cowrie misses everything with that living shadow and the shuriken's not going to proc anything, and War Leader just getting run down, and he actually gets tagged up. That kill goes over to Guilty.
Yeah, exactly where you want that kill to go. So good of Total Trash to give that over. And yeah, the Udyr just constantly out movement speeds you on the map. No way to get out of that. And they're going to be able to pick up a dragon. War Leader just greeting for the Raptors there, feeling the pressure and needs to get a lead in the game. Does have a fast clear in Diana, but not fast enough. Ends up getting caught.
The mental is so important, and already you can see that it's looking a little bit nervy from RLS in this third game, but it might just be a slow start. Hopefully it is, or otherwise channel points going back to 0 again for the third time today. That's not a good thing for anybody. RLS. Yep.
Okay.
I'm all in with 250. You know who else is all in? It's Guilty. He gets a solo kill onto the Zed, and they're just winning top and mid and jungle so easily.
Yeah, this 3-man of Art of War have been dominating consistently throughout the series. Guilty has been 1v1ing Cowrie, as well as Trolling You 1v1ing Anti. And honestly, that puts War Leader in a very difficult position. And now it's just looking like this is going to repeat of game 1 and 2. And Lamb, I'll have to give you credit for having faith, but faith is not enough alone to win these games.
No, it is not. But so 8 minutes into the game, and already we see like a 1700 gold lead for the side Art of War here, and they're certainly showing their Sun Tzu in full effect. They're definitely up there, and if they continue this form, they have to be in with a chance of course, lifting that so important title at the end of the season. But this game is not over. We ain't even at the 10-minute mark. Things can change very quickly as we see plates going over at Cowrie. So going to feel good about that, even getting solo killed by that Xerath. But of course, it doesn't help that jungle kill for the Diana actually went over to the Xerath. So Guilty is on a great start in this game.
Yeah, once you get ahead on the Xerath, it makes it very difficult for RLS to come back. There's just going to be so much poke damage, and Xerath can play at range and be completely safe. Now, Oriri pulling an invade on the top side. Of course, Ezreal can be safe, but I don't think he's going to be able to get all this farm. So they're going to take a little bit of a loss here, but a mid might be safe regardless.
Tidal Wave was actually used. If Ahmed got caught by that, there's a good chance they actually might go for that dive. Nami Lucian, such an incredibly strong synergy and combo. See right, the Arcane coming out from Xerath trying to tag up the Zed because less than 10%. Oh, good flash. Cowrie has to get out of that one. His War Leader is here, but looking at just steal some of the farm, as well as the opposing jungler is here as well. Total Trash going to get tagged up, jump back in with the Moonfall onto the Xerath, but it's going to get stunned up by the Shocking Orb. Another kill over to the side of AWE, and that time it goes on to the Udyr.
Yeah, War Leader there trying to dance on a knife's edge and got cut. And now they're staring at a Rift Herald, and this is looking like a clean snowball yet again. RLS haven't picked up a single W on the Rift yet, and now it's just looking like they're going to be completely doomed.
Oh, Anti pulls the Darius back in, gets
here we
Showstopper back into the turret, but tanks way too much. The Darius just outputting so much damage. Wow.
And that is not a good sign again. Look at that itemization from Trolling You as the Warden's Mail, and that's definitely going to be a thorn in Anti's side. And Oriri sticking around on the top side, securing the Rift Herald. They sacrifice some plates on the bot side, so it's not like a complete trade that is even here. But with this setup, they're going to get a nice crash into this top turret.
So good macro coming out from Art of War, showing that not only are they capable on the individual champions, they will rotate to try and get as much off of the map that they potentially can. And Shelly should drop here as well once that minion wave gets to a close point where it's going to be deleted. And of course, as Krim said, Escape gets to have free time on that bot lane turret, and War Leader getting the wraparound here. They have to try and go for something. They're losing across the map here. Smite going to go down, Crescent Strike in, Exhaust going to be dropped onto the Diana, and they will pick up Ahmed onto that turret. You see the ult coming in from Azerath trying to get escape, and he does, courtesy of the minions right there, but Cowrie gets a full combination of the death mark on the Guilty as the barrier goes off to try and keep him alive. No living shadow, but the Shuriken goes through, and Guilty will live here as Oriri makes the rotation around, but Tef waiting. Tidal Wave going to go down with the bubble land as well. Okay, going to go into stasis. Guilty with that stopwatch already. Bailout is going to come through and gets the heal back because Zed falls. What plays coming out from Art of War. Speaking of plays, Anti looks for the 4th death of the game, and it's going to be successful. Second on a total trash. Art of War running away with it.
The complete confidence from Oriri and Guilty to go for that play. By the way, completely unnecessary, Lamb, but they had to do it to him.
Oh, Ahmed looks for the 1v1. True Shot Barrage lands on War Leader. The Diana gets soloed out for greeding for the Gromp. And Ahmed just says, I'm getting a little bit of revenge here. You dived me, but I'm going to collect that gold straight back.
Yeah, that's not how that's supposed to go. The AD carry is supposed to fear the diver. And in this case, that is a very, very comfortable Ezreal. Does not fear the dark as Escape trying to pick up this kill here. Looks like he might have it.
Well, he still has Flash. Okay, gets that down. Okay, good pickup there from Escape. Takes well advantage of the Ezreal, actually being too forward in that lane, but the Udyr is here, going to handshake forward on 2. Oriri low on mana though, enough to get the bailout on a total trash. You can make this dive. Escape going to go down, Bubble will land as well, but Nami goes into melee range of Udyr. It doesn't matter. So they trade over, and ultimately that's pretty good for RLS because Cowrie's made the roam, and Oriri might be looking to fall for the first time in this game. Tef, waiting, gets that boost on to the Zed. It's just a delayed inevitability. The bubble lands. Okay, smurfing in that bot side, Tef. They pick off the support, and RLS, they pick up some freebies.
Yeah, the Oriri making them work for it. It is going to cost them, though, because Guilty just picked up some free plates in the mid lane there, kind of similar to Cowrie on the Azir. And now it looks like Guilty's the one having the mega farm, mega plates, lots of kills. It completely primed to take over this game here. They do give up the dragon as well, so that's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to slow down that dragon stacking that Art of War liked to go for. However, they definitely have enough gold and power curving to take over this game.
Yeah, that really hurts coming out with Guilty right now. Luden's already completed 13 minutes into the game, as well as the Sock Shoes coming through from the Xerath, looking really solid in that mid lane and not giving an inch. Now they're making the rotations though. Lucian and Nami going to sit there to try and keep up with the Xerath, but the damage, you need to be careful. Maybe setting yourself up for failure there. He's just outputting so much damage. Here we go, round 2. War Leader going to dash in with the Lunar Rush onto Ahmed, fully stacked Conqueror. How good are the Dukes here? Not enough to get away from the Diana, and like you said, Apparition comes to terms with the Diana. You have to be afraid of her.
Yeah, War Leader getting that completed Gnasher Tooth. That's going to be a huge spike in damage. And now I'm got to double think that 1v1 matchup with the Diana. So we haven't seen too much on the top side, and that's just because of all the action going down. As we have Trolling You securing himself a nice CS lead as well as a item lead in the top side. And now when Art of War starts grouping in these 5v5s around objectives, I think it's just going to be completely night and day. Art of War should, if they have the setup, completely take over these objectives and snowball the rest of this game. This is a different look for them, Lem, so we'll see if they have the know-how to pull it off.
So with those short skirmishes towards the bottom of the map, the gold lead actually was cut in half. We were looking at about a 6, but now we're looking at about 3,000 gold lead at Art of War as Lucian, relentless pursuit over the wall, trying to get some damage onto Guilty there. But of course, Oriri is in the right place at the right time. They're not going to get anything onto the Xerath, even though that bubble lands. Tef hitting these pretty consistently, and that has to be worrying if you are that Xerath. Your flash has to be up for these skirmishes.
All right, so interesting lane assignments that they have here. They're going to put Ahmed in the top side on this Ezreal, choosing you into Cowrie here. So, I mean, Ezreal's going to be safe, but is completely diveable Escape.
Okay, Ezreal no flash either. They're going to go in with everything. Moonfall brings it back and sets it up on a play for Escape. 3 kills onto the Lucian. Got that Gale Force as well. They might have the cross map here because Guilty's on the mid lane turret as well on the bot side. Trolls and you following in the same instances. But Zed going to get the full combination on it. Guilty right there. Still has the death mark available. Flashes over. There it is. He's going to get the shurikens through. And goodbye, Xerath. The shutdown goes over to Zed. So they're picking things up here, Crims. They're looking like they're trying to get back into this game.
Yeah, and they're certainly being given an opportunity here. They got a kill on the top side. They got the turret as well, anti-pushing this down. And remember, the weakness of RLS has been the early phases of the game. They've looked significantly better in the mid transition than the laning phase here. And it's looking like it's showing RLS coming to life in this game right now.
And I really like how Anti is kind of just reset the mental up there, shoving that wave all the way forward so it gives the team full priority to go for that Rift Herald, which they collect without contest. So they're trying to push that vision, trying to get some information around these objectives, and that's exactly what you have to do in these games to give yourself the best win condition possible. 17 minutes into the game, we see dragons on either side here. I actually don't believe I've seen what soul are we going to get this game, Crims.
It's looking like we're going to get a fire dragon here. So that's going to be a lot of extra poke damage for the side of Art of War if they do manage picking that up. That's going to be huge for them. On the opposite side, burst damage for RLS is also good. So this is a decent dragon for both teams here. They're going to want it on either side. And with just a couple of seconds left, Art of War have not set up yet, and they don't have the Rift Herald. So I'm wondering if they do have positioning for this dragon. Of course, they are definitely strong enough to fight for it, but do they have that setup?
The most important thing going into this dragon fight, which will be in about 30 seconds, is there's no flash onto Guilty. So the Xerath is very fragile to a gank. Very fragile getting picked off, especially from the Diana, who does have the flash. The Zed, of course, doesn't have his, but he has shadows, so he'll be able to get to that back line no problem. So you have to question, will Art of War play for this, Crims, or did they give it over?
Okay, Trolls and you is starting to match on the top side here, so that's going to be a huge wave. And the Vision War has begun. They are clearing out Vision. Guilty, landing a ton of poke already. Just imagine a couple more of that plus an Ezreal Q. That is going to be absolute nasty and make it impossible for RLS to challenge here. They're going to have to keep hitting them, though.
Interesting, he dropped Shelly top, trying to keep the Darius occupied, but of course no teleport on the top laner, so it will not matter. He won't be in the vicinity for this dragon take. We see priority going over to RLS in this mid lane. Before this dragon fight, it looks like they're just going to sack this mid lane. True Shot Barrage goes on to the caster minions right there. Not enough to clear the whole wave, and it looks like they'll trade over. They'll grab that mid lane turret, but it looks like they're trying to direct themselves into that river, but they have no vision, so they're going in blind.
Yeah, getting that trade is actually pretty good for them. They don't have the option to just straight up fight Art of War, especially since they've zoned them out of the river lamb. So it's going to be absolutely hell in high water trying to get to that dragon. So making sure that they go for that trade is actually a good option. And look, they've even upped the gold quite a bit here.
Short of, I think it's just over 1,000 or so, 1,400. And they're definitely pushing that narrative that the mid game is the one for RLS to actually go and try and grab the game back. They like to start off a little bit slow in this series so far, which we've seen in the previous 2 games. But now Escape is farming up pretty well. The Lucian is doing a lot of damage, and paired with the Nami, you have to keep your eyes on this duo going further into this game.
Yeah, they actually have a strength on the map this time around. Escape and Tef are the stronger duo at this moment. And look, I mean, Ariri has been leaving Amid as well as Guilty. And, you know, they've been switching between them, leaving them alone, and has been there to counter the dives as of yet. So they do have a strength in Escape. The question is, can they utilize it against what Art of War have? It's going to be tough, but that is going to be their answer for now.
Okay, we reach a little bit of a lull period here. The Baron has spawned, but of course everybody is not up to that standard of yet of securing the Baron because it isn't taken very quickly. As you see, Escape and Tef going to go aggressive onto the jungler. Handshake gets the tidal wave out of the Nami and they look to disengage, probably with the Blast Cone. There he goes. Lucian gets out to dodge. with that one. But more importantly, Total Trash, he secures his own red buff there.
All right, Cowrie with this Mythic can do a lot of damage, as we saw with against Guilty. So there is opportunity for the Zed to make plays. The armor stacking is not fully there yet, but it is starting. So the timer on the Zed pick is ticking, and it might be coming to a close in a couple of minutes here. So they're going to have to leverage the natural Zed strength soon. Tef, does land the Q.
Very aggressive play coming through from Tef. Obviously feeling very confident on the Nami. True Shot Barrage goes wide. Ahmed just looking to reset there with a little bit left of his mana. Sends out that ultimate to try and chain somebody up. Gets nothing for it though. So again, 21 and a half almost on the clock here. Both of these teams playing this one a little bit slower than the previous games here, Crims. They obviously know what's at stake here.
And Art of War, yeah, there is going to be a lot of stake. Art of War continuing to put Ezreal on the side lane. They rather have the wave clear from Guilty, and that is going to be a pretty safe lane setup. Just make sure that your Ezreal does not get dove again. And now, yeah, this is just extending this lull state that we have, and both teams just going to wait until a significant objective comes up. And that is going to be the 4th dragon. If Art of War do manage to get the positioning for that, that should be a secure. So in a minute or two, we should really be looking at what's the setup, what's the ward situation like, and then that's going to really dictate who has a huge advantage for this dragon. And remember, Lamb, no Rift Herald this time around.
And you can really see RLS are focusing to that top side. They've said, you know what, Anti has died enough in the series. We want to try and stop that from happening. They keep getting full prio up there, and Ezreal was kind of just stuck under that 2nd tier turret. Just farming away though, so the Ezreal's going to enjoy that. You get a scale up for free. Of course, get that evolution from the Mana Moon coming through in the inventory as well. The kills both respectively popped this early. Actually, they were popped a couple minutes ago, if that. And they're going to get a little bit more gold out of their pockets. And certainly it will come down to both of these AD carries, and I feel like it's a lot of emphasis on the Lucian. But look at this here, Crims are looking to sneak the Baron with that vision that they've got.
Well, they do know that they're on this Baron. The Ezreal ultimate gives that away. And look, it's a very risky play. As Guilty has enough range and poke to kill them. War Leader barely dodges his way out of the way. Does the Ezreal hop over? Does, but does miss the timing there. And now this is an Art of War Baron.
Yeah, War Leader just gets picked off from Ahmed. Went way too low there. Dodged everything from Guilty, but there is an Ezreal that's going to run you down. And it seems to be the trend. So what looked like a snuck Baron, full credit going over to Ahmed for realizing that that was happening, and it turns into an Art of War Baron.
Yeah, this is the power of that Xerath with this extended range, especially from that ultimate. You cannot safely just sit and do a Baron. You will get poked down. And Guilty's been doing half of Escape's HP in 1 Q. So certainly going to be a threat enough to stop the Baron by himself. And now with the Baron buff themselves, set up a perfect 3rd soul for themselves. And it's looking extremely dire for RLS. They're going to have to find a play somewhere, get some pocket of vision, set up a trap, get a huge engage onto Guilty. Otherwise, I think this is going to be downhill from here.
All right, we will see what happens. See Renata or Riri being so prolific on this Renata pick that has ran consecutively in these games. Given over for free from RLS. And right there, you're seeing the test of the damage just going over to Tep. And they cannot contest this dragon. They don't have the vision. They cannot walk blindly into an Udi or into a Darius. Even Guilty, Ahmed, I mean, everybody on this team is playing out of their minds in this series, and we might see War Leader getting chunked out here. No, he's going to give up his Krugs, but Cowrie is here. Blazing Stampede going to land on him. True Shot Barrage going to go wide, but they're still going to run down the Zed. Deathmark goes on to the Udyr to try and juke it out, but War Leader goes in. Oriri flashes away from the Moonfall, followed up by War Leader. Gets sent back with a hostile takeover, and they'll take down the turret instead. War Leader going extremely low. He has to try and dodge this one. He won't get it. The bleed from the hemorrhage is way too much from the Darius. They pick up another freebie. They still have Baron. They're going to take the 2nd tier in the bot.
All right, Art of War really overplaying there, but they're so far ahead it doesn't matter. This is not what they want to go for, and even trade with the Baron, definitely not what you want to see from Art of War. And an Idhib nonetheless, that's going to be a lot of pressure ceded to RLS, but can they get away?
Oh, did they want them to get away? Hantai going to be the first to pull back with the apprehend. They say, okay, you can have the set. True damage going on a total trash, but not enough to actually trade over. The Zed falls in that bot side. So Riri was ticking with that ignite, and it looks like they're still trying to push here because the backs have been cancelled. Udyr, Darius running them down, not letting them get the backs off. Diana's going to be the first up, but Nexus turret number 1 going extremely low. That's going to fall. Are they going to commit for this Nexus turret number 2? Guilty going 1v1 against War Leader. 20 seconds on the Zed, 20 seconds on the set. They're on to that Nexus turret number 2. Fully stacked wave, double cannons. They're going to go in. Okay, Moonfall going to land on it. Oriri gets the bailout on himself. Escape is here. The Lucian has made it all the way back. And Tef looking to try and delay the inevitability. The AWE are going to take this series 3-0. Potentially Tef delays it. They don't want to secure it right now. The Nexus gone about halfway. They're coming back. Okay, Zed goes in, gets kill on the Renata. They're looking to close up on Guilty. Gets pulled back in, and it's going to kill Guilty right there. They return that Zed doing his best. Cowrie, but he's outnumbered and outgunned. And again, AWE, they're on to that Nexus, and they're going to your final.
Art of War Esports clean 3-0 sub 30-minute victory as well. Just complete confidence in their play, Lamb. And they absolutely stomped in this series as well as this game here. They did it on the poke comp. A little bit sketchy, super aggressive trades, but it played in their favor in the end. I have to say, guilty on this Xerath, looking extremely dangerous.
I mean, what else can you say? That was as convincing a win as the rest of the series in this one. And I mean, it really falls short of what I thought the RLS could do in this one, but commiserations go out to them. Congratulations go out to Art of War, who are the first team in the final, who will await the winners of the next round. And I can tell you this, it feels really good for that team. You can see the amount of practice, the amount of organization that went into that one, Crims. They really pulled out everything. They had win conditions all over the map, the top, the jungle, the mid, even the AD carry at one point, and especially through Oriri. I hope they really lived up to the expectations that you also said previously to this even being played.
Yeah, and you know, people, it's been somewhat of a meme for a little bit that Art of War throws games. And well, it didn't happen today. No throws at all. Just looked completely controlled and dominating from Art of War. And this is a new revamped Art of War, and they're looking really good. I can't think of a better opponent to take down in the semifinals on their way up for a glorious finals performance from Art of War Esports. And they're looking mighty dangerous.
All right, so it's short and sweet from us tonight, but it's a thank you regardless, and I do believe we will have an interview with Art of War's jungler right after this break, guys, so stay tuned and get the thoughts of the winning team jungler. The Udyr Total Trash is going to be with you right after this break.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back after an absolute upset of a match with the way the series played out. I don't think I was expecting it. I don't know if anyone else was expecting it. Only Crims and his crystal ball was able to foresee, as far as I'm concerned, how this series is going to play out in the absolute stomp. 3-0, Art of War taking the victory over RLS. I forget their name currently. But let's go ahead. Let's just get your initial feelings. How are you feeling after that series, Total Trash?
Dude, we're feeling really, really good. The games were actually really fun. A little like a little hype sometimes, right? Especially some of the members of our team. But feeling really good after the match. So ready to take on INT. So.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say, between the amount of time that you guys have had your break, since week 7, you had the break week, quarterfinals got to come and go, and here we are at you guys putting on a fantastic show in the semifinals. Please tell me, what is the secret sauce? What have you been doing in these last couple of weeks? What made Art of War go through such a dramatic change from the team that we saw a few weeks ago?
Yeah, so for this series, it's it's not so much our dramatic change as, we played RLS, right? Can't spell loser without the RL and S, right? So, and then, War Leader, Anti, and Elk Milk was his old name. I can't remember his new name now, the mid laner. Cowrie, yeah, right? Like, we just gapped. We knew we were going to gap all 3 of them, right? So it was like, we can draft anything. Like, we could have drafted Yumi top and won these games. But we decided, try a little hard to make INT shaking their boots a little bit. So, but yeah, just, a lot of communication in the games. And we talked out how the game was going to play out in the beginning beforehand and, like, how our comp worked into theirs to make sure that we were ready to play.
Yeah, and I think that as far as as harsh as staying silent, I think the gap is a little bit true. I think a lot of the struggle that RLS seemed to have was definitely in the early games. In the 1v1 situations, the head-on counterparts seem to really find some outstanding leads in those early parts of the game. I feel like absolutely, I'm honored you're here to have this interview, but I think absolutely every single member of Art of War played fantastically today and could have easily found their way here. Let's, talk a little bit about the draft and how things kind of played out from your guys' side. It seemed through all 3 games, everyone was pretty well set on the things they wanted to ban, a small switch up. So I was just kind of wondering from your guys' perspective, as far as when you prepared, was it you guys practicing these things in particular, or did you get the things you wanted? And then I have a follow-up question for one specific scenario, but I'll let you take that question first.
Yeah, so for the first game, well, I guess I'll start with the general purpose, right? We weren't worried about their draft because RLS is a bunch of brain dead players, so like we knew whatever they banned, it wasn't gonna make any sense. Wanted to get that one out there. But for our draft, right? Again, we knew our top lane was gonna absolutely dominate, so Anti likes to play the Irelia, or this is the second game, I believe. Like to play the Irelia, so we were really hoping he was going to pick that up at one of these games, and they continued to let Ornn and Renata get through, and like I don't know why people keep letting Ariri play Renata, but it's the only champion he's capable of playing. So like you could literally ban Renata and we lose the game. So I don't know what they were thinking there. But yeah, so for actually like practice comps, I think we all kind of played comfort champs actually the majority of the games, right? We put me on Vi the first 2 games, which is something that I'm super, super comfortable with and making plays on. And then, somehow they let Xerath through one of the drafts, which I thought was unbelievable. Really the only person that played champions that we haven't like practiced with before was a mid. A mid played the Varus pick, which was the first time we've practiced Varus AD carry or played AD carry with Varus. And then the other kind of unique pick that people questioned us about was the Rumble pick in the mid. But we kind of picked that on purpose with our team comp. With the Vi lockdown and the Ornn knockup and the Rumble ult, it was just really hard for one person to be able to do anything in the game.
I agree. I really like the Rumble pickup from Guilty there. I think it had a lot of presence, and especially being able to get those early objectives that you guys were able to snowball fantastically. I think game 2 was pretty decisive in that factor. I think that had a big thing to do with that. But definitely the one draft scenario I wanted to touch on, because it was just something I saw coming from a mile away. My heart kind of flooded when I saw it, and that was the clear plan that you kind of touched on, where they left the Xerath open, and Cowrie on the other side was like, I'm gonna play Zed into that, and then you all said, I'm not afraid of that at all, and Guilty got that signature champion that we've seen week after week in both leagues just terrorize and just had a stellar performance on it. It just absolutely blew my heart away with that stopwatch in the mid lane play. So, from your guys' perspective, was that something that was that your narrative where you're like, I don't care what Cowrie's playing, we're playing this right now?
Yeah, so, let's be clear, right? It's not that Guilty's good, right? Like, Guilty's fucking trash at the game. So, like, the only reason that he won that matchup is because Cowrie's worse, right? So, let's just make sure we get that one out there. But yeah, Guilty felt really comfortable playing Xerath into any pick, really. So the minute it was left open, like, I think they literally could have picked anything mid, and Guilty would have said, I want to play Xerath. So it's just his super comfort pick, and because he's so bad at the game, we want to give him his comfort pick.
Fair enough. Sometimes from the interviews I couldn't tell whose side you're on, total trash, but that's okay. It makes for good content, I think. The interviews, if nothing else, are hilarious. So, as far as your guys' side, I want you to tell me about, how you were able to kind of like ride this wave of momentum. Was it something you guys were pretty confident in, or was it something like, okay, we got round 1, we got round 2, we could totally do this, and like just steamroll that, or like, what was it also like as far as like that small break you had in between matches? What was the dynamic like there?
Yeah, so actually, like, in between matches, right, like, we were all hyped, especially, like, coming to the end of every match, right, but, Trollzine was actually the one to, like, make sure we bring it all in, right, so, one, Sword Blue would come in and just, like, absolutely dumpster us, right, like, Sword Blue would come in and be like, you guys are all trash at this game, why were you making these plays, right, especially in mid, like, a mid got caught time after time after time, I mean, like, it's expected of a mid, so I don't know why anyone thought anything differently, but, like, Sword Blue would come in, bring all of our hopes and dreams down a little bit, and then Trollzine would sit there and say, all right, guys, doesn't matter that we won last game, like, reset mental, we're here to win. And so that's kind of where we ended up at.
Fair enough. I guess keeping a level head is important. The technique is definitely a little unique. That's all right. Let's go ahead and then, I think one thing we could talk about was the end of Game 3 there. It definitely seemed chaotic. So I was wondering from your guys' perspective how it went down. The chase from top lane to stop the backs there, and then just the absolute tower dive after respawn scenario from your guys' perspective. How'd that go in your guys' comms?
Yeah, so the last game, it got real hectic at the end. They were pushing top. We had 3 bot, I believe, or 4 bot. And it actually all started just, Death Vision on the Zed. He blew his W, so when he blew his W, we're like, oh my god, we have to kill the Zed, so we all angled in on the Zed. And then, me and Trollzine with our 10,000 IQ brains decided we could take the tower for at least 15 shots, no problem, which we successfully did. And we got the kills. And once we had the pressure there, they kept 3 top, and then me and Trollzine were able to back and get the kill on set. And, after that point, it was all we had to do was, even if we died, was stop the backs of Lucian and Nami, and we knew we were going to win the game. So.
Right on. Fantastic execution. Of course, this was the semifinals, which means you have secured your spot moving into the grand finals, which means you've got lots of cool art interviews coming for you guys. I'm excited to produce that finals for you guys. But tomorrow, we have Team AA going against Team In the Trees. AA was a little bit of an upset, a surprise to see here. But from your perspective, is this maybe a AA angle dream run, or is it going to come crashing down to INT tomorrow?
So INT is really, really bad at the game. But like, what are they? AAA, whatever the hell their team name is, the worst AW, right? The shit AW.
Yeah.
They're worse than INT. So I'm gonna have to go with INT, and then obviously when we play against INT in the finals, it'll just be a dumpster 3-0 like this one was.
Yeah, just from the content we have here, I just have to ask, who is good at the game?
I don't think anyone is, especially not me. And I heard that you're really bad too, so I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I haven't played with you personally, but like people were talking to me about being careful playing with Theracles, and then they also said like don't record his interviews because you don't want to hear him back. So I mean that's what I got told. I can't say for certain what anyone else says though. So.
Yeah, man. I think my FOF record is like 4-22, so it's pretty rough. But you take that statistic for what that's worth. Anyway, before we talk about Warmy and making me cry myself to sleep, any final words for your potential opponents tomorrow and the fans out there watching Art of War?
I just want to say we came into this game. People were saying that we were upsetting RLS, so I just want to make sure I call out everyone in the chat that was saying that y'all are brain dead. We were second, they were third. I don't know what y'all were thinking. You guys should have been RLS members. I think they would have recruited you.
Okay. Well, fantastic. You heard it here, folks. It was a spicy interview from Total Trash once again. That'll do it for us here tonight. However, make sure to come back tomorrow again when INT take on Team AA for the final spot in Grand Finals to take on Art of War for the championship of Season 6. We'll see you tomorrow.
You